We begin from the oil and gas industry, where the Department of State Services this past week waded into the labor dispute between Dangote Refinery and Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, in an attempt to prevent the imminent breakdown of an earlier truce signed by both parties. This emerged as the leadership of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, called on the federal government to ensure the protection of Dangote Refinery by forestalling anything that will lead to the disruption of the petrol supply chain. The Students' Union body also noted that while it recognizes the role of unions in the defense and protection of human rights, joining a union should be voluntary. At a meeting called by the leadership of the Department of State Services in Abuja on Saturday night, both Dangote Refinery and NUPENG resolved to adhere to the September 9 agreement when the issues were first discussed and resolved. In the meantime, the Depot and Petroleum Product Marketers Association of Nigeria has kicked against reported plans by Dangote Refinery to slash petrol prices. The 700,000 barrels per day capacity Dangote Refinery, which is the 7th largest refinery in the world and Africa's largest, recently announced that it would from tomorrow, Monday, September 15, drop petrol prices from 865 naira per litre to 841 naira per litre in Lagos and the Southwest, while it will be 851 naira in Abuja, Edo, and Kwara. This, the government intends to implement side by side the commencement of its direct fuel distribution scheme. I'm now being joined for a quick chat around these developments by Dr. Musa Yusuf, Chief Executive Officer of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise and a former Director General of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI. Good to have you back on this Day Live Sunday, Dr. Muda Yusuf.
Muda Yusuf. Musa Yusuf.
Muda Yusuf.
Yes.
Oh, did I say Musa?
Musa, yeah, that's what.
When did I say that?
That's what it said.
Oh, okay. Well, I know you are Dr. Muda Yusuf. Oh, okay. Well, some fault from some maybe from the screen.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, let's start from the beginning. The conflict between Dangote Refinery and NUPENG. Now, this has been on for a whole week or thereabouts, and it's still on. It's not ending yet. And the whole issue is accusations, counter-accusations of monopoly. NUPENG saying the Dangote Refinery cannot insist that membership of the trade union is voluntary, even if the relevant articles in the enabling law says, look, it's voluntary. But they say, look, Dangote Refinery cannot set up a petrol tanker drivers union that is separate. And that if at all, there must be a sticker of NUPENG, and that those members of that truck drivers association, trucking drivers they call them, must be members of NUPENG, and there must be a sticker of NUPENG on every Dangote truck. Okay, the thing degenerated up to a point that when the Dangote Refinery announced that it was going to deploy 10,000 CNG-powered trucks to take products directly to the end user to reduce costs, to help with efficiency, to help with foreign exchange issues, stability of the naira. NUPENG said this is not possible because it will amount to loss of jobs and opportunities for members of NUPENG. Okay, DSS and the Federal Ministry of Labor intervened, but by Friday, Saturday, members of NUPENG had blocked the exit and the entrances to the refinery, to the gantry, to prevent Dangote Refinery from deploying its trucks. And so that's where we are. And we are told that DSS has intervened again. And tomorrow, those Dangote trucks are supposed to be out there. Also, there's division. Petro1 is supporting NUPENG. NLC is supporting NUPENG. I think a group of petroleum marketers are also supporting NUPENG. On the other hand, you have DAPMAN supporting Dangote refinery. You have the Direct Trucking Company Drivers Association supporting Dangote. You have the Petroleum Tanker Drivers supporting Dangote refinery. So there's division in that downstream sector. So to you, what are the big issues?
You see, we are coming from a regime of highly dysfunctional oil and gas sector. And there are people who have been profiting from the dysfunctionalities in that sector. And it is very clear that those who have been benefiting from those dysfunctionalities don't want to let go. Because whether we like it or not, a major transition is taking place in the oil and gas sector, both in the upstream and the downstream. And the earlier the stakeholders come to that reality, I think the better for everybody. It can no longer be business as usual. Because what we had until now, before all these reforms, has been a downstream sector that has created a huge rent economy. Rent economy arising from the subsidy regime, arising also from this so-called bridging cost and this equalization fund. And a whole lot of bleeding was taking place in that sector. Secondly, we had a regime that was also almost 100% import dependent, which allowed for the perpetration of all manner of atrocities. Now we find ourselves in a situation where we are now refining locally. We are bringing efficiency into the system. And because people who have been benefiting from what was a dysfunctional system are generally not happy with what is happening, I think that is at the root of all of this. Now, coming specifically to this issue of NUPENG, I think in whatever way we want to look at it, we must situate it within the context of legality of actions. Yes, I must admit, NUPENG has the capacity to bully, even when they don't have any strong legal basis. They have the tradition of bullying their way through. But I think it's high time that we situate things within the context of the law. I admit, this is all about, wanting more take-off dues. You want more members and all of that, so that the take-off dues can be coming and you have a lot of influence. It's also about, for the executive of these organizations to be able to manage a bigger budget. But the reality is that the law is very clear. Union membership is voluntary. And the law is also clear that an institution cannot compel its staff or employees to be members of any union. And an employer can also not obstruct the membership of unions by employees. That is the situation of the law. So if that is the situation, NUPENG must provide evidence that Dangote refinery is obstructing people who want to be members of NUPENG. It's a voluntary thing. Individually, people can sign on, because once you sign on, there will be deductions every month from your salary to the union. If you don't want that kind of deduction to take place from your salary, you are free not to sign on.
Okay.
So that is the situation of the law.
Okay.
So we should not normalize illegality.
Okay, Dr. Yusuf, I get your point. But there are some people who have drawn attention to the argument about monopoly and competition. Those persons who are arguing for Dangote refinery say, in a free market economy, there's free entry, there's free exit. Now, if you have the capacity to scale, you can compete. It's not only Dangote products that are out there.
Yeah.
Okay, there is room for competition. If you have 3,000 trucks, you can also compete. You can also buy from Dangote refinery. But on the other hand, the NUPENG supporters, Petroan and Co., They say that no, Dangote is trying to introduce a monopoly. The Dangote supporters say it is NUPENG that is looking for a monopoly because of this check of dues that you just talked about. So who is the monopoly here? Who is trying to obstruct competition, in your view?
In my view, I think it is the union that is trying to obstruct competition and also in a way even obstruct the law. Now, as we speak, we still have instances of people importing petroleum products into the country. So if there are products to be moved, it's not only Dangote product that is available to be moved. You still have products of people who import petroleum products in Apapa and some other tank farms across the country. So why must anybody want to impose or compel Dangote? I mean, this is a case of trying to bully, in my view. Because, I mean, so many people have been given licenses to operate refineries. The government has 4 refineries. We have a number of modular refineries. If for some reasons, some people are not able to operate efficiently, or they are not able to operate at all, who do you now blame? Do you now demonize somebody who is trying to be efficient in the delivery of his own business, or who is operating a very efficient business model because it's now more competitive? So it is very strange to me. And in any case, in any country, there are institutional frameworks to deal with antitrust issues, because these are competition issues. If there are proven instances of violation of antitrust laws, we have the Competition Commission.
FCCPC.
Yes, FCCPC. It's not for anybody to take laws into his hand or hands and begin to use tanker to block or black. If you have proven cases of antitrust laws or infraction of antitrust laws, you escalate it to the Competition Commission. Dangote is not stopping anybody from setting up refineries. It's not stopping anybody from importing petroleum products, even though as a country, from an economic nationalism point of view, we should be encouraging more production.
Okay, Dr. Yusuf.
And we have an investment, $20 billion. Not even a foreign investor can put that in Nigeria. And yet we have all these obstacles being thrown here and there. I think we need to have a rethink about attitudes generally.
Talking about people taking laws into their hands or threatening to take laws into their hands. The Nigeria Labour Congress has served notice, has declared that it is also likely to embark on solidarity action with NUPENG and its supporters. What advice do you have for the Nigeria Labour Congress in the light of the fact that the federal government is saying this is a matter of national security?
Now, I think the Nigerian Labour Congress should also seek proper legal advice. We are not in a jungle, and we have these instances before. Before now we had only NLC. It took some struggle to register the TUC, to provide some kind of balance in that space. If the NLC wants to join the strike or undertake any industrial action, there must be a clear basis for it. We cannot just, out of emotion or sentiment, be embarking on this just because we have the power to intimidate either the government or intimidate investors in the economy. Investors also have a right. A lot is at stake for the investor. We are talking about $20 billion investment. Supposing anything had gone wrong with that investment, will anybody come to the aid of Dangote? And look at the developmental effect, the welfare effect of this. Look at the impact of this on trying to bring down even the cost of products. You just read out some numbers now. Look at the efficiency effect it's bringing to the entire value chain. I mean, there's nothing new here. We have seen precedents of this before. In the cement industry, people produce cement, they deliver to their distributors. In the flour mills industry, they produce their flours and they deliver directly to their distributors. The same thing happens in the breweries. It happens with the bottling companies. It happens even with the pure water producers. So what is new about producing your petroleum product and delivering to your customers? What is new about it? For me, this is looking more like an attempt to sabotage. That is the way it is looking.
Okay, which brings me to the point that Alhaji Aliko Dangote made in an interview that he granted, an international journalist when the refinery was being commissioned. He said many people advised him not to embark on a project at that scale, and that he should not hope to succeed where the Nigerian government failed. The Nigerian government could not even maintain one refinery out of all the ones that it established, but that he refused to be discouraged. Do you think that NUPENG and his allies are probably fighting a proxy war against the Dangote refinery?
Well, what I will say is that this is certainly not in good faith. If at the heart of this is the interest of the Nigerian people, if it is in the interest of the economy, if it is in the interest of, even the employees. I mean, we are talking about 4,000 or so trucks. Is Dangote going to be driving 4,000 trucks? Is he going to import drivers from Niger or from Asia? Are they not Nigerians that will drive the trucks? And I've listened to some of the drivers. The condition they are getting even there is far better than the condition that all these NUPENG employees are getting. In terms of welfare, in terms of the remuneration, in terms of condition of service generally. Then in terms of even the quality of equipment, the quality of vehicles, the issue of safety, quality control, standards. We are bringing all that to transform this space. So, we can't rule all of these things out. But just as I said at the beginning, when you are moving from a dysfunctional system to a system that will bring more sanity, you should expect this kind of pushback. Because there are so many people benefiting from what you can call the status quo. The subsidy regime, the bridging regime, the equalization fund. So many atrocities have been committed. That is why the refineries have not worked for almost 2 decades. And we know the impact of that on the economy today. Part of the setback we have suffered in this economy was because of this oil and gas sector. All attempts to transform the sector have been met with all manner of resistance for some narrow interest reasons. Now, I'm happy the president is committed to this reform, and I'm sure that the president will see it through. Whatever anybody is doing, whether it is NLC, whether it is NUPENG, they should realize that there is a law, and they should operate within the law. Nobody, no union is above the law. I think we need to establish that position.
Okay. Tomorrow, we'll mark a turning point, because it is tomorrow, Monday, September 15, that the Dangote refinery has announced that it will roll out its trucks, the CNG power trucks, to begin to deliver petrol across the nation. Now, DAPMAN, a group called DAPMAN, says that, in fact, this should not be allowed, because what Dangote refinery is trying to do is to sabotage other players, because there are other people who have imported fuel. They have cargo on the sea, they have in tank farms, and that Dangote is always reducing prices at a time when other people have so much in stock. And that, the kick against this attempt, because the timing is wrong, the effect is in bad faith, to use an expression that you used earlier on. So that's DAPMAN. But you have the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, saying that they support Dangote refinery and that their members and all the zonal chairmen have been authorized to deploy and mobilize their members to take their trucks to Dangote refinery and collect fuel to give to Nigerians. Now, the matter apparently doesn't look like it's been resolved. What do you foresee?
Well, people are pursuing different interests. This is not about Nigerian interest. Because this is a free market. Nobody is stopping anybody either from refining or from importing. But what is clear is that the sector is witnessing a major transformation. The sector is witnessing a major disruption. And for any player in that sector who recognizes this reality, you must begin to review your business model. It's not by blackmailing people. If there's a disruption in any space, you go back and review your business strategy. How do you survive in a disrupted space? We have seen disruptions in ICT space. We have seen disruption even in the financial institution space. Look at what the fintech are doing to the traditional banking system. Look at the kind of competition they are giving them. So it's a question of recalibrating business model and reviewing business strategy. This is not for anybody to be blackmailing one person or the other. I mean, this is about competition. And when you are in a competition environment, you deploy whatever strategies you have within the limits of the law to ensure that you are ahead of your competitors. That is what entrepreneurship is all about. The competition can be in terms of price. It can be in terms of the kind of customer service that you are given, the kind of value you are delivering to customer. That is what business is all about. So I think people have to just realize that they need to go and review their business strategies.
Okay.
That the situation has changed, the business landscape has changed, and when changes are happening in an economy, business models need to change.
Okay.
That is the reality.
Dr. Yusuf, I get all of this. You are Director General of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise. So in other words, you speak for the entrepreneurs, yes, the private sector. Now, all these people that are involved in this combat, or if we want to be charitable, this conflict, they are all entrepreneurs. The truck drivers, the DAPman, the Petruan, the hitman, all of them are behaving like politicians. So are they affected by the reality of Nigerian politics? Because all these groups that we have mentioned, they are beginning to sound like political parties in action.
You see, when you have been a beneficiary of what you call a rent economy, it's not easy to let go. And what I mean by rent economy is when you are reaping where you did not sow, when you are making money where you have not created value. That's what a rent economy is. And that has been a culture for many years, especially in the oil and gas sector. And because people have been used to that, I think that is at the heart of this conflict. Because if you are talking of a pure business space where you have free competition, everybody, you have to put on your thinking cap. Just as is happening with all these telcos and all of that. You have to think properly on how you can survive the competition. Rather than be looking for protection either from government or trying to obstruct your competitor or something like that. And just as I said, you have a competition commission. If there is a proven case of breaching of antitrust laws, they can escalate it to the competition commission. And they come with their evidence. But if you are losing out because you are not competitive, then you are on your own. Okay. That is the reality of a free market economy.
Finally, Dr. Yusuf. Now, some analysts have compared what is going on now in the downstream sector to what happened in the coal industry in the United Kingdom during Margaret Thatcher's, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's tenure. And Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher stood up to the unions, and the unions lost at the end of the day. What will you advise President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do? Because at the end of the day, all the interventionists, they may not be able to resolve the problem. It may require the intervention of the country's president himself for him to put his feet down and say, this is what is in the best interest of this country. And what should that intervention be like?
The intervention will be to compel all players to operate within the law. The law is very clear as to defining the limits of the employers, the limits of the union, and the limits of all stakeholders. It has clearly defined the boundaries. If people now decide to be crossing those limits, then you are violating the law. Because you need people to comply with the law for us to have sanity in any environment. For me, that would be my advice to the president. Call all the key players, state clearly, this is the law. Everybody must comply by the law. Simple.
Okay, on that note, I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Muda Yusuf.